Pastry is a joke the universe made flesh. One moment he's a hotshot pastry chef, the kind of guy people actually remember. The next he's reborn as the broke, useless son of a pathetic lord, living in a crumbling pile of dust and debt. No money, no clout, no one giving a dang. He's the kind of failure people use to make themselves feel better. But beneath the laughable name and ugly circumstances, he's already scheming, ready to turn every insult and scrap of misery into sugar-coated power. The second and final day of the Pastry World Tournament kicked off, and chefs were hustling hard, shaping candy into crazy creations. But Pastry's sweets were on another level. He had built this massive candy bird so detailed it looked alive, and people were already whispering that he might be the greatest pâtissier ever. For him, it finally felt like his dream was in reach. While other chefs were still grinding, he stayed calm, knowing he was about to win and maybe even create a whole world of sweets that could make everyone smile. The dream he had carried since he was a kid. Soon, everyone moved their creations to the judging area, and Pastry's team tried carrying the giant candy bird. Balance slipped, and before anyone could react, the statue fell straight on his head. Blood ran, vision blurred, and he started fading. All he had wanted was to make people happy with sweets, and now it seemed that chance might vanish. Just then, a mysterious voice promised him another shot if his wish was real. A bright light surrounded him, and the voice declared that in the next world, he would be called Pastry Morteln. When he woke up, he was in a new world, held by his new parents. The land was the Duchy of Mortel, once barren, now thriving thanks to his father and villagers over 20 years. 3 villages grew with around 40 people each. 9 years later, he trained with his father, a former military hero. Life was peaceful, but there was no sugar, making sweets almost impossible. Then news hit that 50 bandits were coming in 2 months. No help could be expected from the count, so Pastry had to protect the crops at all costs. Without them, his dream of a sweet-filled world would die. His father arranged a special ceremony to awaken his magic. After some funny moments with his mother and sisters dressing him up, they finally left. Pastry was nervous but determined to grow stronger and protect everything he loved. They teleported instantly, shocking his friend with Lord Casserole's skill. Pastry and his father arrived at Bovaldi, the capital. Pastry's eyes widened. So many people, so many shops, so many things he had never seen. Brown sugar, fruits, rare items. He was in heaven. His father said if he passed the ceremony, he could buy whatever he wanted. Pastry spotted apples, surprised they existed here. His father explained they grew in the north and even slightly sour ones could make better sweets. Pastry immediately started planning to grow them himself back home. His father felt proud, thinking Pastry might become a great lord. Pastry only cared about building a world of sweets. They went to the church, where the priest knew Casserole and spoke of how he saved people last year. Casserole credited God's blessing and his son's smarts, then asked the priest to perform Pastry's magic specification ceremony. The priest was shocked at his young age, but agreed. Inside, the ceremony was brutal. Pastry got locked in a dark room for 2 days, drinking a bitter potion and facing complete silence. Time crawled. His father grew worried, but the priest said patience was key. In the darkness, Pastry thought of sugar, sweets, and his dream. Just when he felt lost, a tiny light appeared. When he opened his eyes, his father was there, telling him he had completed the ceremony. Outside, the priest read the scroll. Suddenly, a magical space appeared, and everyone realized Pastry had gained magic. People thanked God and even donated to the church. Later at the market, Pastry struggled to pick the best apples. The shopkeeper, seeing his passion, gave him extra. Pastry tasted them, grinning, and told his father to keep it secret from his mother and sisters. Eating the perfect apples, he promised himself that one day he would build a real world of sweets for everyone. The bandits were already creating chaos, having looted one village and stolen plenty of food, yet they complained it wasn't enough. So they decided to move forward and hit another place. Meanwhile, in Morteln, everyone was scrambling to defend their homes before the bandits could arrive. Just then, a messenger ran straight to Casserole with bad news. One of the 5th villages had already been attacked. Hearing this, Casserole realized the enemies had come much earlier than expected, which meant they might reach here before 2 months were up. Immediately, he sent Pastry to gather all the village leaders and also Glaze, so that everyone could unite. While running, Pastry kept thinking about stopping these bandits. They could not be allowed to destroy his dream of a world full of sweets. Thankfully, his father had already prepared defenses. Temporary walls were built between villages, open paths were filled with barriers, and the fields were moved closer for protection. All the people from the outer villages had shifted inside, planning to fight from there. Once the men gathered, they discussed supplies. Food could last 3 days, but if they ate only once a day, it might stretch to 7. Still, they knew their trained fighters were few, so their odds were risky. Soon Mark and Lomi arrived. They said that since their fathers served Casserole, one day they would serve Pastry too. Pastry just smiled, saying they were friends first, and no noble behavior was needed. He gave them the task of collecting stones outside the village that could be thrown in battle, warning them to return immediately if they heard any sound. While collecting stones, the boys wondered what magic Pastry had gained, since he had not revealed it yet. Suddenly, movement caught their eyes. The bandits were approaching. They rushed back and warned everyone. Gates slammed shut, and Pastry instructed his mother to move all children inside. Fear spread, but Casserole stepped forward and gave a strong speech. He reminded everyone that if bandits entered, they would burn homes and steal food. The villagers needed to stand together. Hearing this, everyone felt motivated and ready. As night approached, Casserole predicted the attack would come under darkness. The bandits needed quick victory because they lacked food. Fuel worried that if the enemies waited, their own men would grow tired. Pastry calmly said they needed more information. Just like when making sweets, before cooking you must know the ingredients, timing, and heat. Casserole nodded and decided to scout the enemy himself, leaving Pastry in charge. While Casserole and Fuel left, Pastry quickly laid out a plan. He told Mark to alert the western side that flaming arrows would be used as signals, and he had Lomi help prepare them. Once footsteps were heard, arrows would fire toward the sound to guide Casserole back safely. Lomi worried about hitting his father, but Pastry reassured him that his father knew the land better than anyone and could avoid danger, while the bandits would be confused by the terrain. Mark suggested teleportation, but Pastry explained its limits. His father could not teleport himself, Fuel, and the horses together. They would need to rely on smart strategy instead. Soon, the village settled into tense silence. Pastry stood firm, believing that if they protected their land today, he could still create his dream world of sweets tomorrow. With the plan clear, Mark and Lomi left to do their part. Inside the village, small children trembled with fear. Pastry's mother guided them inside gently, reassuring them they would be safe. After sending them in, she looked at Pastry and told him to take care of himself. He quietly nodded. In that moment, Pastry realized that sweets were no longer the only thing he had to worry about. To build his dream world of sweets, he first had to protect this village. No matter what, he would bring smiles to everyone because that was his real goal. Meanwhile, Casserole and Fuel moved through the forest to check the enemy numbers. Soon, Fuel used his skill and discovered the bandits were no small crew. At least 70 men, 5 strong horses, and even worse, they had captured bridges to control movement and use it smartly. Casserole's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm and said they would strike first. On the other side, the bandit leader realized the nearby villages had been warned. He decided to attack at night. As darkness spread, Casserole and Fuel suddenly launched a surprise attack. They didn't aim to kill but injured enough bandits to cripple their fighting. Then they pretended to retreat, baiting the furious bandits to chase, even though the leader warned it could be a trap. Back at the village, Lomi listened carefully. As soon as he heard footsteps, he fired a flaming arrow into the sky. The signal lit up instantly, and Casserole saw it from afar, realizing Pastry was guiding him back and that the trap was ready. Soon, a messenger ran to Pastry, reporting the bandits were coming from the west while chasing Casserole. Pastry ordered everyone to prepare. As planned, Casserole changed direction at the canal, leaving the bandits stuck in the narrow path. That's when Pastry gave the signal. Suddenly, stones started flying. The attackers weren't seasoned soldiers but village kids with slingshots and deadly aim. Pastry had explained that since they were fewer, they had to break the enemy formation first. Once the bandits got confused near the canal, the children would attack, then retreat safely while adults moved in. Some elders doubted it, but Mark shrugged confidently, saying no one used a sling better than kids. The plan worked perfectly. Stones hit hard, injuring and angering the bandits, but the children stayed brave, firing relentlessly. Then the bandit leader jumped forward, dodging attacks, leaping onto the village wall. When a villager tried to stop him, he tossed the man aside and landed inside the village, causing panic. Still, the children didn't back down. Lomi kept fighting, but the leader grabbed Pastry, pressing a sword to his neck, ordering everyone to stop. Fear spread instantly as he commanded his men to kill and loot. At that tense moment, Pastry spotted an injured bandit whose mouth was burning from a stone hit. He quickly used his magic Replicate, transferring that same pain to all the other bandits. Suddenly their mouths felt like fire. The leader screamed in confusion, demanding what Pastry had done. Calm as ever, Pastry replied that he only returned their own pain. Finally, Mark fired a strong stone with his sling, hitting the leader square in the head. He collapsed, and with that, the tide of battle turned. Casserole was busy dividing the remaining food among the villages, while the captured bandits were tied up and taken away. He planned to send them to the Count and ask for payment since protecting the land had cost them a lot. Soon he gathered everyone to give rewards to those who helped. Mark and Lomi stepped forward, and because they had supported Pastry like true assistants, Casserole gave each of them a sword and a small bag. They felt proud, though the bags were heavy, so Pastry stepped in to help and thanked them warmly. He smiled and said he was just glad no one had died, and maybe life could return to normal. Afterward, they visited Mark's house. His mother hugged him tightly, thanked Pastry, and joked that her son hadn't caused too much trouble. Pastry laughed and said Mark had actually helped a lot. Then they went to Lomi's house, where her grandfather beamed with pride and praised her. Soon villagers gathered and decided to celebrate. A small wine party started while the kids drank juice, of course. Pastry felt relieved, thinking everything was calm again. He began thinking about sweets, realizing he could finally focus on baking. He figured he would make a cake first, though he still needed flour, eggs, and butter. Meanwhile, Mark was thinking seriously. Since they would protect the village in the future, he suggested checking the captured bandits. They walked to the holding area, but the guards stopped them, saying it was too dangerous. At first they were annoyed, but then Mark quickly came up with a plan. He tossed stones onto the roof to distract the guards, and when they moved away, he and Lomi snuck inside. There they saw the bandit leader tied up. He noticed Mark's sword and asked where he got it. Mark proudly said it was a reward. The leader lied, claiming the sword was his, and that if they sent him to prison he would die. But before that, he could teach Mark how to use it and even unlock magic power. Lomi felt unsure, but Mark was tempted and stepped closer. Suddenly the leader used hidden magic to loosen his ropes, kicked Mark away, grabbed the sword and attacked Lomi. She fell, bleeding. When the guards rushed in, he held Mark at sword point and escaped on a horse. News spread quickly that Lomi was hurt. Pastry immediately told everyone to treat her wound and stop the bleeding. When he learned the bandit had fled east, he rode out alone to chase him. Casserole wanted to follow, but Fuel stopped him, explaining that as lord he had to stay calm and protect the village. Casserole agreed, though worry lingered in his eyes. The bandit ran with Mark as hostage, but he fell into a trap Pastry had prepared near the mountain. Pastry arrived ready to fight. The bandit realized the plan and drew his sword, while Pastry remembered his father's training and took a deep breath. He knew now he had to win, not just for revenge but to protect everyone and keep his dream of a sweet world alive. The bandit laughed, claiming he would finish Pastry before he could use his replicate spell again. Mark told Pastry to run, but Pastry refused, saying Mark was both his attendant and friend, and he would never leave him. The bandit attacked hard. The impact broke Pastry's sword, and things started looking grim as the bandit moved faster, pushing him back. Meanwhile, Fuel searched for Pastry using his power but couldn't find him. He did notice horse tracks though and followed them. Eventually, he found Pastry's broken sword on the ground. At that moment, he realized Pastry was gone. Sadness hit him hard. As evening fell, he carried the broken sword back home, already worrying how he would tell the family. When Fuel entered the house, he froze. Pastry was sitting calmly with his mother, and Mark was safe too. Fuel could hardly believe it and tried to make sense of what he saw. Casserole explained that Pastry had returned a little earlier with Mark. Fuel argued he had come the same way and didn't see them at all. Now everyone was looking at Pastry, waiting for an explanation. At first, Pastry tried to avoid it, but his father told him to speak clearly. Finally, Pastry admitted he had used his replicate magic to copy his father's teleport spell. Since his magic could copy almost anything, even another person's spell, he had teleported himself and Mark home safely. Casserole nodded, saying he had guessed something like that. But he gave Pastry a serious warning. He reminded him never to tell anyone about his copying ability and never to use it carelessly, because magic in battle was dangerous. One small mistake, like a teleport failing midway, could have been fatal. Later, Casserole and Fuel talked privately. They worried that if outsiders learned about Pastry's power, they might see him as a weapon and try to use him for war. Casserole hoped the bandit leader would be caught before he could reveal anything. The next morning, Mark sat alone, feeling guilty. Pastry came over and said Lomi was fine and asked if he wanted to visit her. Mark said he couldn't face her because it was his fault. Pastry gently reminded him that running away wouldn't fix anything, and if he truly felt sorry, he should go and apologize. They visited Lomi, who was resting but looking better. Mark hesitated, still feeling bad, so Pastry left them alone for a while. When Mark finally apologized, Lomi told him it wasn't his fault. The bandit had attacked her, not him. Mark insisted and asked for forgiveness again. Finally, she smiled and said she had already forgiven him. Meanwhile, Pastry went to the kitchen, wanting to focus on something better than fighting. He started baking, determined to bring smiles instead. After some effort, he made a honey cake, and the sweet smell soon spread through the house. Mark and Lomi followed the aroma and asked what he had made. Pastry proudly said it was honey cake and invited them to taste it. When they tried it, their eyes lit up. The cake was delicious. Pastry explained that flavors could be sweet or sour, just like people had unique traits. He told Mark to learn from his mistakes and grow stronger if he wanted to become his lieutenant. Mark felt motivated and promised to improve. Suddenly, Lomi's father arrived, looking stern but amused. He said that since his precious daughter had been hurt, Mark had to take responsibility and even joked that he should marry her one day. Lomi said she didn't mind. Mark turned bright red and everyone laughed. Casserole looked stressed, rubbing his forehead. He said their money was completely gone. Fuel nodded and replied that they already knew, and that was exactly why they were sitting together to figure out a solution. Pastry joined them and explained that after fighting the bandits, they had spent a lot of gold reopening 2 villages and arranging food supplies. Because of that, the treasury was empty. He even admitted they probably shouldn't have let the bandit leader escape, since they could have earned at least 200 gold coins as a reward. Fuel shook his head and reminded them that regrets wouldn't change anything. No nearby village could lend money anyway. Everyone was poor after the famine. Casserole wondered if they could borrow from the royal court, but Fuel quickly said the interest would be too high, creating even more trouble. Pastry suggested that maybe his parents could ask their own families for help. Casserole explained gently that long ago he and Pastry's mother had cut ties with their families because they married against their parents' wishes. Back then his land was small and nobody supported them, so asking for money now wasn't possible. Pastry quietly realized that love marriage in this world must have been extremely difficult since arranged marriage was normal. Meanwhile, Pastry went to meet Mark and Lomi to explain the village was out of money. Lomi first asked about her injury, saying her grandfather let her go outside since she mostly felt fine, though the wound still hurt a little. Mark suggested expanding the farmland since there was space, but Pastry explained it would require time, workers, and money, all things they didn't have. Then Lomi proposed selling the bone pipes Pastry had made in town, but he said even that needed ingredients and still no money. Mark jokingly asked Pastry to teach him magic so he could become rich and eat tasty food every day. Lomi immediately teased him, saying magic wouldn't make him that powerful, and they started arguing again. Pastry laughed, told them to calm down, and suggested drawing something they liked on the ground. 3 minds together might come up with a new idea. Mark drew himself defeating a dragon, though Pastry thought it looked more like a bug. Lomi drew a bone pipe, and they argued over whose drawing was better. Pastry used his replicate spell to copy the drawings onto their hands, which made them excited. He explained the copy would fade in 3 days, but could be made permanent if printed on wood or cloth. Then Lomi asked if he could copy a real object and turn it into a picture like a mirror. Pastry's eyes lit up. Finally, he had an idea. He thanked her and ran home happily. Back home, his mother was still worried about money. Pastry announced that he had found a way to earn gold. He reminded his father that many families searched for marriage partners, and those without teleport magic had to travel far, which was risky and expensive. Pastry used his magic to print his mother's exact image onto a wooden board. Everyone was shocked. It looked like a perfect reflection in a mirror. He explained that he would call these magical pictures, and families could exchange them instead of traveling, saving time and money. Casserole quickly calculated that each one could earn 5 to 10 gold coins, and since it only needed magic, the cost was low. Yet he grew serious, realizing that selling this product might make people curious about Pastry's special magic, and that could bring danger. Pastry said sooner or later people would find out about his magic, so instead of hiding it forever, they would only show that he could make picture copies and nothing more. That way trouble would stay small. Fuel nodded and agreed they could try it carefully. Just then, Pastry's mother looked at one sample board and pointed to a small crow feather mark, asking if he could remove it. Pastry felt a little surprised but understood she was testing how perfect his magic really was. The scene shifted to Count Rette's domain, one of the largest lands in the south, connecting many villages to the royal capital. Pastry and Casserole arrived for a meeting, and after some waiting, they were allowed inside. A noble lady welcomed them politely and introduced herself as the ruler holding authority, because the true heir was still young. Pastry remembered his father saying she was smart and powerful and that many political issues had happened under her watch. They sat down and she offered tea and cookies famous in the capital. Casserole praised the tea, saying it was wonderful. Pastry agreed the tea was good, though he thought the cookies didn't quite match. He stayed quiet for the moment. Meanwhile, the lady praised Casserole's farming skills and said she wanted to know his secret for turning poor land fertile. Casserole humbly replied that most ideas had actually come from his son. She looked doubtful that a 10-year-old could do so much, yet she listened carefully. Pastry calmly brought up the recent bandit attack, saying about 100 men came, so even children had to fight. She looked shocked. Pastry admitted there were only about 50 but had inflated the number as a negotiation tactic. He added that some captured bandits came from her territory. She denied knowing anything, so Pastry said they could hand over the captured men, but if she still refused responsibility they would report it to the royal family. Her face tensed, realizing it could damage her position. She suggested the bandits might have been a rogue group. Pastry gently asked which army had fought them before. She refused to answer and asked for proof the men were from her land. At that moment, Casserole showed a sword from a bandit, pointing to the crest carved on it, clearly hers. She realized her mistake. Pastry said they understood she didn't want to lose her standing and would stay quiet. Yet because her failure had caused heavy losses, their village deserved compensation. She first offered 100 gold coins. Pastry calmly asked for more. She smiled, noting he was no ordinary child, and they finally agreed on 150 gold coins. Casserole confirmed it was fair, and they signed the agreement. She secretly thought Pastry was far wiser than he looked. Before leaving, she apologized if she had seemed rude. Pastry introduced himself properly, and she said she would remember his name. Then, curiously, she asked why he hadn't seemed impressed by the sweets earlier. Pastry honestly explained that the tea was excellent, but the cookies didn't balance well, even suggesting better pairings. Casserole quickly stopped him before he talked too much and apologized again. As a farewell, Pastry said he brought no grand gift but took out a handkerchief and used his magic to print her exact portrait on it. She was surprised at first, then smiled warmly and thanked him. Pastry and Casserole arrived at the royal capital to meet the central army. Casserole said getting called to the banquet was a big honor and congratulated them on their heir. Catalog heard this and felt genuinely happy. He told Casserole he was a real hero, which made Casserole blush a little from the flattery. Then he introduced his grandson, Square, who had just graduated top of his officer boarding school. Square was nervous, stumbling over words and apologizing constantly because he admired Catalog so much. Catalog smiled, encouraged him to speak, and when Big Guy gave his introduction clearly and with effort, Catalog's face lit up. He even said Big Guy might be better than his own grandson, and added he had heard he could do magic. Paisa humbly said that with God's grace he could do magic, then walked to a waiter, grabbed a cloth and performed his replicate magic to make an image of a girl appear on it. Everyone watching was impressed, including Catalog, who praised Paisa. Paisa thanked him and said he wanted to gift this magic to the game. Catalog admitted he didn't expect Paisa to show up today. Paisa explained the picture was of his third daughter, Fat, whose father had teleported her here because Lady Petter couldn't come herself due to conflicts in the neighboring country. They were introducing her on her behalf. The lady was charming, and everyone agreed that next month she would become the heir. A party was arranged so people could meet and become friends. Square immediately said he would attend. Mom shook her head at her grandson, thinking he was clueless that the marriage was arranged to strengthen ties with the neighboring country. Best, however, was impressed and thought Square was smart. Casserole asked when they would leave, and Festival reassured him that his father could teleport him there. Square thought that was perfect and agreed. Catalog promised to take him, and Casserole said he would definitely help. The lady looked a little worried, but Pastry whispered that the neighboring country feared their military power and wanted the marriage to scare them away. Catalog thanked him for the explanation. Finally, they announced in front of everyone that Square would attend the market party, and Pastry's plan succeeded. Later, Pastry stood waiting when Square arrived. Square said there was no need to make him carry a load, just call him Square. Pastry agreed. Square asked what Lady Petter liked. Pastry said he had met her once and knew she loved sweets. He had given her handmade cookies as a gift, and she had liked them a lot. Square asked if Pastry could make sweets seriously, and Pastry confirmed he could make them very well. Square said they would talk about sweets later, but asked if he could make a small change, blushing as he requested Lady Petter's picture be slightly more appealing. Pastry thought all boys were the same everywhere. Meanwhile, Pastry was repairing a bridge when someone told Casserole he had never seen such a hard-working leader. Casserole replied that it was Pastry's responsibility to work so people in the village wouldn't go hungry. Pastry overheard and asked if they were making sweets, but they said no. Later, Pastry gave letters to his father, read them, and found out they were getting 20,000 coins. He asked if that meant Petter and Square were engaged. Casserole confirmed, and they decided to keep it private. They spent time taking photos and videos carefully, because the market didn't like pictures. Fuel was happy they got 30 gold coins in advance, and thought about starting a grand estate. Casserole warned him it was funding for Lady Petter's security, and the red petrol had to be kept safe until she officially arrived in the capital. Video understood that many people, especially from the neighboring country, wouldn't want the engagement to happen. The real problem was the church. It was neutral but could collect and leak information if bribed. Video wondered how to teleport the gods along with the people safely, which was a huge challenge. Fuel asked how they would manage Lady Petter even if she teleported to the capital. Pastry said they would still need a carriage to keep her safe. Fuel wondered if they should refuse the mission, but Casserole said it would be foolish. This was their chance to earn the kingdom's trust, so he would accept it. Pastry added that it wasn't just about saving their town but also about fulfilling his dream. They had to do this mission. Pastry got an idea and said that if they had a safe place where the church couldn't leak information, the plan could succeed. Pastry asked what he was thinking, and Pastry said he had found the perfect spot to keep the red petrol safe. No windows, one entrance and strong walls. Casserole said it sounded like a true scientific chamber, a solid idea, and Pisa agreed. He added that when the time came, Lady Petter would naturally come to the chamber, and they could tell people they were busy with the ceremony. That way the red petter would stay safe until the engagement. Soon materials arrived via traveling merchants, and letters were delivered to Shiva, who quickly understood what to do. However, Casserole got angry. Someone had ordered a barrel of red bone cast and sugar for the top without telling him, wasting a lot of money. He declared he would no longer give funds recklessly. Pastry ran again, juggling everything to make sure the plan stayed on track. Next they reached Mate's state and realized Lady Petter had been waiting. Mate noted it was good someone her age had arrived. Pastry's mom mentioned her 9-year-old son was involved, and even had a voice that matched Pastry's. Everyone agreed that with his magic the marriage could proceed. They thanked him and allowed him into the carriage where Lady Petter was sitting. She thanked him for coming, and Pastry felt happy to meet her. She mentioned she had liked the cookies he gave, which made him proud. Petter noticed a girl, Battery's sister. Pesa greeted her politely and she responded kindly. Petter nudged him to show more interest. Pesa apologized, hoping he hadn't been rude, and Pesa reassured him it was fine. Then Mare and Karan entered and the plane started moving. Festival explained the plan. They would enter across the border under the pretext of scientific research. Once inside the church, they would teleport to the capital where Lady Petter would stay in the chamber until the announcement. Guarded closely, they noticed attackers moving nearby but trusted each other to protect her. Some guards watched from a distance, planning an attack, but Pastry stayed alert. When they reached the church, they checked everything was safe, but thugs appeared and attacked. The garage driver ran, leaving Mate and others to fight calmly. One thug tried to sneak in from inside, but Pastry stopped him, warning no one could harm the girls while he was there. Lady Petter watched carefully. Another thug attacked from the side, but Mate and the others defended, destroyed his sword, and fought together. The attackers got scared and ran away. Petter thanked Pastry for saving the daughters. Inside, Gilly and Petter looked frightened, but Pastry reassured them. He told them everything was fine and led them into the church basement. Petter admitted it was her first time there and they were going deep underground. Liko was still scared and looked for her sister, Battery. Pastry held her hand and told her not to worry, they were with her. Gilly felt reassured by his presence, finally relaxing a little. Gilly was scared, but Liko grabbed her hand and said she was safe, that there was no reason to be afraid and they were with her. Hearing this, Gilly started to calm down. Sleep crept over her, and she thought that even though she was older, with Pastry she felt like a child. She wished she had held her sister's hand earlier. Her mind wandered, remembering how she had compared herself to her sister all morning, jealous that her sister got the engagement spotlight instead of her. Even though she had spoken sharply to Pastry earlier, he still treated her normally, and that warmed her heart. Everyone moved deeper into the basement, holding hands in a line. Pendra asked if they would get the certificate money here, but Peza shook his head. They would teleport straight to the royal capital using his father's magic, and Lady Petter would already be there. He promised everything would be fine. Petter and Liko felt a wave of relief and silently trusted him. When Pastry activated his teleportation magic, a bright flash surrounded them, and suddenly they were standing in the royal cabinet. Meanwhile, outside the city, a shady man spoke to a group of thugs, explaining he needed their help to regain his reputation. The thugs asked who to target. He said no killing, just bring a noble girl, and promised 10 gold coins. The thugs smirked, thinking it was an easy job. Their leader clarified they were kidnapping a housewife's daughter, whose family planned to arrange her marriage. The man warned them nothing should go wrong. He had two motives: ruin the Candle family's name if the granddaughter's marriage failed, and regain his noble title, maybe even marry Petter later. The thugs agreed. It sounded like a solid plan. Back at Shiari, Vesti checked security. The capsule impressed him with its sheer force. Pastry noted that ordinary people could never gather so many troops, which stung Cassel slightly, though he stayed quiet. Petter fidgeted nervously, struggling to believe her engagement was so close. Someone reassured her, and she smiled, remembering the portraits and thinking her match was handsome. Pesa felt pleased seeing her notice the details. They entered the ceremonial hall, starting with the red petrol while the priest waited. Petter went with her father. Glaze and Film arrived, reporting that many people were in Kerala state. Feeling explained the Lord of Remote Fifth would join. Alliances were forming, and spies were positioned in Doug state to warn them. Sim requested help for an important mission, since Petter's centrifugation money would not last long. Patters noticed Petter was tired and offered to help her rest, and she shyly accepted. Fuel shouted to stay quiet, but Liko ran off, making Pastry frown. He reminded everyone he was not like that and walked away. Feeling laughed, calling them innocent, and Cassie patted him, warning him not to give strange ideas to his son. Back home, Drink said all certificates would be finished soon, and he was ready to take revenge on Catalog. Later, a Central Army officer arrived under Carola's orders to escort Lady Petter. Petter and Mara entered safely, and Fuel confirmed the first step was complete. After the engagement reception, they would ensure the couple returned home safely. Everything was going smoothly, but the crowd was thick, and vigilance remained essential. Fuel worried about Pastry, alone with Liko, in possible danger. Cassie reassured him that the ceremony would begin soon, and that someone was already watching. Petter stood beside Kalogo, her personal attendants tight. Paisa asked why she stood. She explained it was her duty to protect Liko. Pastry nodded, thinking even as a child he would do the same. Suddenly, a strange sound cut through the room. Everyone froze. The ground beneath them began to crack. A blinding light erupted, and in an instant the floor vanished. They all started to fall. The attendant tried to catch them, but it was already too late. Liko and Pastry fell straight into the mattress and vanished. Cancer and the others arrived, panicked, asking what had happened. The attendant explained everything, and when they asked where exactly Pastry was, she said he was with Liko and both had fallen. Jason looked at the mattress and muttered about the perfect circle and depth, realizing that only magic could make something like this appear so fast. Casa told Fuel to inform Catalog about the situation, and the rest of the team. Fuel, without hesitation, jumped into the mattress, making everyone worry and wonder why he always did these things. Then Casa went under the mattress and moved forward. On the other side, Pastry woke up tied up in a house with Liko. He blinked, trying to figure out where he was. Goro's leader appeared, smiling but refusing to answer why they kidnapped him. The mattress still glowed faintly, showing the magic used. The attendant reported everything to Sir, who promised action, but until help arrived, Pastry had to think fast. He wondered why they took Liko, a girl from a poor family with no obvious benefit. Another thug arrived, ordered to keep watch, and Pastry stayed silent, focusing on keeping Liko safe. Meanwhile, Casual emerged through the mattress path, confused because no one was outside. The next day, Pastry stayed calm, quietly telling Liko not to worry. Kelly, remembering Pastry's promise that there was nothing to fear, finally relaxed. The thug watching Pastry thought he was clever. The mattress had to be magic, but maybe there were more magic users. He had to be careful and figure out Pastry's plan for Liko. The thug threatened that if Pastry did not cooperate, he could be killed. Pastry acted scared, negotiating slyly about earning 200 gold coins, which excited the thug. Pastry carefully trapped him, realizing the kidnappers were nobles. Pastry inspected the house, realizing it belonged to someone high-ranking. The place had not been maintained for 10 years, suggesting a fallen noble or someone who had lost their title. He remembered when they had prepared security for Petrol, and thought of possible problems for such people. He recalled the name House and Mari's format. Dukin sent information using his ribbon magic to Sir. On the other side, Video could not spare people for the market, prioritizing Lady Petter's engagement. The attendant fretted, knowing Liko was in danger, while Casual noted her devotion to the girl. Capsule said he would have acted differently if he knew, and Cassie reassured everyone that as long as Pastry was with Liko, there was a plan. The attendant barely believed it. Pastry teleported with the ribbon to read messages and discovered more kidnappings from the house. The criminals panicked. Sun ordered everyone to gather men while he mobilized locals from the church, planning to reach Mari's house and stop the kidnappers. Pastry asked to teleport there quickly, and they told him to stay calm. The thug leader barged in angrily, his companion panicking. He went straight for Liko, but Pastry teleported in front of him. Prestige swung his sword, sending the thug flying. The thug revealed they had kidnapped the wrong sister. It was supposed to be Petter, not Liko. The thug drew his sword again. Liko screamed, covering her eyes, panicked. Prestige struck again, injuring the thug and making the sword drop. Pastry knocked another thug unconscious. Liko called Pastry's name and he reassured her, saying she had nothing to worry about. The thug muttered angrily that this was just the beginning, and warned that if they acted carelessly, their game would end. Strudel realized Pass had used the fallen sword to break free and take down one of his own guys. Voices echoed outside as Cass arrived with reinforcements. Knowing the fight was lost, Strudel tried to run, but Pass refused to let him slip away. Just then, Cass and Glockage stepped in. Pass told Glockage to watch Liko, and together with his father, he pushed forward to corner Strudel. Strudel, not giving up easily, cast a spell and opened a hole in the ground, vanishing through it. Pass wanted to chase him, but Cass stopped him, reminding him not to act without thinking. Relief hit them both when they realized Pass and Liko were safe. Soon Philly arrived with knights from Kodricek House and Hubarek House. They took Liko home safely, while the captured mercenaries were rounded up. Pass asked Cass who had been really behind the mess. Cass explained they caught a man sneaking out the back door. The man called himself Duke Luhingo Armir, a family that lost their noble title 20 years ago for leaking secrets to the enemy. Cass said even one wrong move by a leader could ruin an entire family's future. The knights reminded them they needed to report the incident to the Margrave at his estate. Cass made an excuse to leave with Pass, saying he wanted to track Strudel and asked Filia to handle the report. As they moved, Cass wondered where Strudel could have gone. Pass figured he couldn't have gotten far with almost no magic left. With the area surrounded by their forces, Strudel should already be caught. Suddenly, both realized something and raced back to the room where Pass had been held. Strudel was hiding in the hole he had made, threatening to kill anyone who came closer. Cass readied himself, but Pass wanted to face Strudel alone to make the fight more dramatic. Strudel revealed his name and tried to take Pass hostage to escape. He swung his sword full force, but Pass blocked it, breaking the blade in the process. Strudel froze in shock, and Pass followed up with a strike that knocked him out. Cass finally realized Pass had secretly weakened the sword with his magic, which explained why he was so confident fighting alone. After the chaos, Pass worried this mess would slow down his dream of building the Land of Sweets. 1 month later, the official engagement celebration for Petra and Squale took place. Pass felt genuinely happy seeing Petra smile, truly joyful. Even the Duke showed up, warmly thanking Cass and Pass for keeping his future granddaughter-in-law safe during the dangerous times. During the gathering, Pass laid out his doubts about the kidnapping. It had been weird that the mercenaries grabbed the wrong girl when the plan looked perfect. He figured someone else had to be involved, someone who hated the Armira family and wanted to stop them from rising again. The Duke raised an eyebrow at this, but Pass quickly said it was just a kid's wild thought, nothing serious. Then he casually asked for money to help grow crops, joking that if the Duke refused, his mouth might spill secrets. The Duke laughed and realized Pass had him cornered, so he agreed to support the land. Next, Kodricek came clean. He admitted spreading false info that caused the kidnapping, but insisted he never wanted anyone hurt. He said he needed time to think about his mistake and learn from it. Hubarek stepped forward, thanking Pass for saving his daughter. He asked about marriage and settling down, and Pass said he was still too young, barely handling his Excalibur sword properly. Hubarek pressed on, asking if Pass meant he didn't like his daughter. The Duke smirked, clearly enjoying seeing Pass stuck. Cass finally realized they had been tricked into agreeing to the engagement. The Duke made it official, announcing Pass as Liko's fiancé in front of everyone. Liko came over to thank Pass for saving her life, and he noticed how beautiful she looked. Hubarek raised a toast for marrying off both his daughters, and the Duke lifted his glass to welcome Pass into the family as a future in-law. Squale and Petra grinned, asking him to call them big brother and big sister, but Pass just shook his head, thinking everything had happened way too fast. Later that night, Liko brought him her homemade cookies. Pass told her they were delicious, making her beam. In that moment, he decided he would protect her smile and work to build a land of sweets together with her. Cass tells his wife that he needs to talk about something important. Because he looks nervous, she jokes that maybe he spent too much money on shopping and tells him it is fine. Cass then says that their family now has a new daughter. Agnes is shocked and quickly thinks that he has been unfaithful. Cass says he could not avoid it, and Agnes asks if the girl is pretty. He replies that the girl is very beautiful, comes from a high noble family, and also has a twin sister. Agnes becomes very angry and thinks Cass is trying to build a harem. Cass says sorry for not talking to her first, and explains that Pass also agreed, thinking the girl would be a good match for their son. Agnes then understands that Cass is talking about Pass and not himself, and she walks away. Just then, Pass comes to ask what happened, and Cass tells him that Agnes will need about a month to calm down, but in truth she is happy about having a new daughter and is excited. After that, Reincarnates hears about the engagement between House Morteln and the Hubarek family. She is shocked that a poor village received a proposal from such a high noble house, and spills her coffee. A servant says the engagement might be only temporary because of the kidnapping and could be cancelled in 2 or 3 years. But Reincarnates does not agree. She remembers that when Cass arrived 20 years ago, it took many years to get the first harvest, and they even stopped growing wheat for 3 years to grow beans instead, which later improved the land and increased wheat crops. Reincarnates believes Paz planned this and sees that he has great potential, and she also remembers that he was the one who talked with her about the bandit reward. Because of this, she thinks Lord Hubarek has also seen Paz's value and believes she has lost. Back in Morteln village, Paz puts down some boxes and his friends ask what he brought. He says these came from the Duke and his grandson, who promised to help him develop his land at the engagement party. Inside is a small plant called a black locust sapling, and Lumi asks if he will make pies from them. Pas explains they cannot be eaten, but they can grow on dry land and make nectar like honey, which he can use to make sweets. His friends worry about the lack of water and soil, but Pas says he will build a big water reservoir on unused land. Later, Foy reports the money results for the year, and for the first time they made a profit. Cass is happy that their work is finally paying off and feels his son is a blessing from the goddess. Fail then says there is good and bad news, and the good news is that more than 40 people want to move to the new village, Les Milot, and most are refugees from bandit attacks. In addition, 5 people have joined them as helpers after hearing about the kidnapping case, and Glocage is training them now. Cass is happy about this news and thinks it will help their land grow stronger. The bad news is that he hears Pas is doing something risky with his friends. Then we see Pas, Lumi and Mark standing in front of a very big rock. Pas uses the magic he copied from Strudel to make a hole in the rock, and feels sure it will work, so he starts to jump around in joy. He then uses his strong punching magic to break and move the large stones away. Lumi and Mark are shocked that he can do all this by himself. He also hardens the bottom and walls to prepare the reservoir. Pas plans to plant the small trees around the reservoir because rain will come soon, and the stored water will also help them grow faster. If everything goes well, he can soon start building his land of sweets. While he is lost in happy thoughts, Lumi and Mark tell him to focus, and he is surprised to see his father Cass standing there. Cass first thinks Pas is breaking the mountain, and feels this is too much, so he becomes very angry and punishes the 3 boys for what they did. Later, Reincarnates is still thinking about the Morteln family's engagement, and says she would have done the same as Huberek if she had a daughter. She feels upset that Huberek and the Duke joined with Morteln without telling her. Her servant jokes that maybe she should marry Pas herself. Reincarnates laughs and says it could have worked if she were 10 years younger. Then she suddenly gets an idea and plans to use it. 1 month later, villagers praise Pas for building 3 water pools in 1 month, when normally even one would take many months. Pas comes with his friends and is happy that the seeds have all been planted. He hopes they can make honey, and his friends are excited to taste his sweets. Then Josephine brings him a letter and jokes that it might be from Lyko. Pas finds out it is from Reincarnates, inviting him to a tea tasting party and saying she wants to show him her fine taste, while Pas wonders what kind of plan she is making. After that, the new helper Nicolo feels tired from too much paperwork, and Foy says they are busy because of the little devil, meaning Passus. Pas hears this and says the land belongs to his father, so the work is his father's duty. But Foy answers that Pas is the one who made holes in the ground and caused more work, telling Nicolo to complain to him. Pas then asks where his father is because he got an invite from Reincarnates, and Cass suddenly appears and says he already knows. Cass says they will talk later because an important guest is coming, and then Nicolo arrives. Pas feels happy to see her. Foy teases him, and when Pas learns she will stay for some time, he becomes nervous about what will happen next. Lumi runs to Mark to tell him that Pas now has a fiancé, but Mark already knows about it. Lumi says she heard rumors that Lou is a sexy older woman who has Pas fully under her control. Then we see Pas taking Luco to his special place, which is a large kitchen where he makes his sweets. The scene moves to Huberek Castle, where a man asks Huberek why he sent his daughter to Morteln village. It is revealed that Huberek already suspected that Reincarnates was interested in Pas, and because of this he sent Luco there. He planned for Luco to go with Pas to the ceremony so that Reincarnates would not get a chance to approach him. He also wants his daughter to stay safe because there is a danger that the nearby land might attack. After that we see Pas preparing small samples of sweets to take as gifts to the ceremony. Luco notices the banca fruits, and Pas explains that they are very special to him because he used all his allowance to buy them. He continues making the dessert, and Luco is amazed by the sweet smell. Pas pours the hot sweet liquid onto a plate and calls it hard candy, then shapes the candy into different forms. Luco can recognize some animal shapes, but she does not know what a plane is and thinks it is a bird. She says the candies look so beautiful that she does not want to eat them, but Pas tells her that candy is meant to be eaten. Outside the kitchen, Pas's mother and sister are secretly listening and hoping to see something interesting happen. Lumi tries to keep them quiet, while Mark wonders why he is even there. Pas then pours the candy syrup over the banca fruits, and Liko says they look very pretty. He asks her to taste them and she really likes them. Pas then opens the door and his mother and sister fall inside. He asks them why they were listening, but they make excuses and quickly run away, leaving Mark and Lumi behind. Pas says he planned to give the desserts to them, but because they were listening secretly, he will not give them any, and will give them to his father and Feiyu instead. After this, Cass and Feiyu talk about the tea tasting ceremony, which is mostly for young single people, so they decide that Maliko should guard Pas. Cass trusts that his son can protect himself, but he worries more about Reincarnates trying to make a move on Liko. Then the scene moves to the ceremony, where Pas arrives together with Liko. Everyone is amazed by the decorations and thinks the place looks even more beautiful than the royal capital. Pass says that this place is one of the greatest castles in the south, and that people also call it the Pirate Castle because it is close to the sea. He then sees that Ritis has placed the picture he gave her in a frame and thinks she did this on purpose. At that moment, Ritis' servant Koten Engels comes to greet them and introduces Pass and his fiancée to everyone there. Pass then gives out his hard candy to the guests, and they taste it. Everyone enjoys it, and when Koten tries it, he likes how the sweet melts in his mouth. Pass tells everyone that there are more samples and that he would like to send them for free through the merchants. But he asks that the merchants should not be made to pay sugar taxes for these gifts because it would be unfair. Ritis hears this and comes over saying she wants to hear more about his idea. She tells him that any business talk must go through her, but Pass explains that they were only talking about gifts. Reincarnates suggests they speak in private and Pass agrees, leaving Liko with Nicolo and Kyra. In the private room, Pass asks if she is worried about her safety because of the guards. But Reincarnates says that if she were worried, she would have many more guards since Pass can use magic. Pass then offers her his hard candy to taste, and she finds it very good. He tells her that he plans to grow all the ingredients in his own land, which surprises her, and says that in 3 years he can make a large amount of candy if she supports him. Reincarnates feels that Pass is planning something big but cannot fully understand it, and she agrees to help him only with the candy plan, and Pass thanks her. Back in the hall, Koten says Pass is the main topic of the party and jokes that many people may try to join his harem, which makes Liko upset. Kyra and Nicolo try to comfort her, but she decides to leave and go home. Elsewhere, Pass walks with Reincarnates and feels glad she agreed to help. Reincarnates then asks about Liko and whether Pass loves her. He tries to avoid answering, but Reincarnates links her arm with his and holds him close, saying she will not let go until he tells the truth. At that moment, Liko arrives and is shocked to see them like that. Liko runs away, and it seems that Reincarnates' plan has worked. Pass runs after her and finds her standing outside. He tries to explain that in Reincarnates' eyes he is only a 9-year-old child, but Liko is afraid that one day he will leave her when he gets more girls in his harem. She says that she is not as confident as her sister and that she is bad at talking to people. Pass tells her that he likes her just the way she is and that his feelings for her will only become stronger. He asks her to wait for him and then teleports away. After a short while, he comes back with a banka sweet and says that this one is a little different from the one she had before. He asks her to taste the sweet with her mouth because he made it specially for her. Liko tries it and loves how the sweetness spreads in her mouth. It reminds her of the first time she ate it with Pass, and happy tears fall from her eyes. Pass tells her that this sweet has many names because it is easy to make and is made in many places, and the names are candy apple. Moreover, he asks her to trust him and promises that he will make her happy. Liko thanks him, and just as things are about to become more romantic, Kyra and Nicolo arrive and interrupt them. Kyra has come to take Liko back, and Nicolo is impressed by how Pass talks to girls. He jokingly calls Pass the Gigolo of Morteln and says he is a womanizer. Pass gets angry and tells Nicolo that when they return home he will make him do twice as much work. Nicolo thinks Pass is joking, but Pass increases it to 3 times and Nicolo starts begging him to stop. Kyra feels relieved to see that Lou is happy again and gives Pass a serious look. After this, Pass's mother is very happy to see him return and hugs him tightly. She tells Luz that she saw Pass making something and leaving in a hurry, so she believes he made something special for her. Pass understands this and his mother pulls him away to ask him about everything in detail. Nicolo says that Pass's mother is even harder for him to deal with than Reincarnates, and Liko laughs at this. Later, Pass looks very tired after listening to his mother talk for 2 hours. Fiel gives him some tea and notices papers with pictures on them. Pass explains that they are leftover candy wrappers that were used to wrap sweets while he listened to his mother. Fiel is shocked to see Reincarnates' picture on the papers and asks why Pass used them as candy wrappers. Pass says it was a small way to get back at Reincarnates for teasing him. After that, we see Reincarnates angry because Pass gave nobles candies wrapped in those papers. And because of this, a rumor spreads that she likes young boys, and many young boys from different places start sending her marriage proposals. She is very angry with Pass and wants him to suffer for what he did. The scene then moves to Huberek Castle, where they receive news that the nearby land ruled by Lutarut has started to act. They believe that Huberek's engagement with Kodrike will make his power grow, so Lutarut plans to attack first. Huberek learns that the enemy has more than 30,000 soldiers, and they may not be able to protect themselves against such a large force. He orders his men to ask the Duke for help. At the same time, Pass is shown counting the money he earned from selling hard candy and the photos from the marriage event. He takes 4 coins as his personal reward. He then talks about buying 100 goats so he can use their milk and cheese to make sweets. Foyle says that they once planned to raise goats, but they gave up because the land was in bad condition. Paus believes that since the land has improved, they can now raise animals. Foyle asks if they will also raise chickens and other animals for food, but Paus says he mainly wants more chickens because eggs can be used to make sweets. Foyle says that Paus only thinks about sweets and reminds him that they do not have enough workers to take care of so many animals. Paus says he will think about it later and asks Foyle to open his mouth so he can taste his sweet liquid, which he calls sweet sorghum. Foyle tastes it and says it is too sweet, and Paus explains that it is a test version of sugar and that he wants to build a sweet-making shop in Mortel. Foyle says it is a big dream, but warns him to be careful of his father's anger if he causes trouble. Later, Paus and his friends are building something, and Liko asks what it is. Paus says it is a test version of a juicer, and when they finish, he tries to show how it works. Mark cannot reach the handle, and Paus realizes he made it too tall. Mark asks Lumi to climb on his back to reach it, but he complains that she is heavy. When they pull the handle, it breaks and they fall. Paus says the idea was right, but the tool was too weak and thinks about using metal next time. Lusko says she has seen a similar juicer in Huberek used to make wine, and it needs 2 people to turn it. Paus decides to get the same kind of tool. Lumi says they got hurt for nothing, but Paus offers to let her taste sweets and she forgives him. Paus then runs to talk to his father and Foyle about buying the juicer. He is happy to see his father back, but Cass tells him that a war is about to start between Huberek and Lootroot, and Paus is shocked by this news. At the Lootroot camp, they hear that Huberek has not received any help from the Duke. Lootroot thinks Huberek may have pulled back his request after learning that Lootroot only has 10,000 soldiers, and that Huberek wants to solve the problem alone to keep his pride. At that moment, a soldier tells Lootroot that the Duke's grandson is visiting the area, and this gives Lootroot an idea. Later, Paus is seen cleaning his kitchen, and Liko notices that he looks worried about the war. She says that instead of spending time fighting, people should use that time to make tasty sweets like he does, and Paus thinks he chose the right girl for his harem. He then tells her that they will go buy some goats that day so he can make a cheesecake using goat milk. Soon after, Paus learns that the goats were taken by another baron. The trader explains that he tried to refuse, but the baron's men threatened to kill him, so he had no choice. They find out the goats were taken by Baron Lunsvig, who is known for bullying new nobles. Fur says that if they had strong support from a powerful noble family, no one would dare to treat them like this. Cass says they are not officially connected to Hoberek yet, so they cannot ask him for help. He believes this happened because war is about to start between Hoberek and Luderout, so right now they cannot do anything. Paus gets very angry and wants to go speak to the Baron himself, but Cass stops him and explains that before war, lands try to gather food and supplies, and since Lunsvig's land is closer to the war area, they will take priority. Cass tells Paus they can try to get the goats back after the war ends. Paus feels sad about this problem, but then Fur says there is another way to get better access to food, which is to join the war as helpers for Hoberek. Paus becomes very determined to get his goats back, and his wish to make sweets is so strong that it feels like he is turned into a super warrior. After that, Paus goes with Cass, Nicolo, and Glokaj to help as reinforcements, and 8 other villagers join them. Mark wants to go too, but Lumi says he will only cause trouble. Mark's father tells him to stay and protect the village while Paus is away. Luko feels worried, but Agnes comforts her, while Paus hopes to bring back the goats so he can keep making sweets. Meanwhile, at Huberek Castle, Pestra feels sad that Squall is looking at her photo even though she is standing right beside him. Since he cannot tell her that he was thinking about using it to train his arm muscles, he says it is because she is very cute, and Pestra feels happy when she hears that. Just then, Huberek comes in and jokes with Squall about flirting with his daughter. At that moment, they receive news that the army of Lutrout has started to move with 10,000 soldiers. Huberek thinks the earlier report about 30,000 soldiers may not be true, and decides to face the enemy with his own troops. He plans to send Squall to fight on the front line in his first battle, and Squall agrees. At the same time, in the Luderout camp, they hear that their army is ready to march forward. One of Luderout's men worries that the soldiers are tired and says it is dangerous to keep going. But Luderout says he has already thought about this and has another plan. His goal is to separate Huberek from the Duke. He knows that Huberek will send Squall to fight in his first battle to please the Duke if they win. Luderout plans to kill Squall, which will make the Duke angry and break Huberek's connection with him. After that, Huberek will not be able to grow his army, and then Luderout will attack him fully. After this, Squall feels nervous about his first battle and hopes they will win. At the same time, Paus arrives at Huberek Castle with his father as support troops. Huberek thanks them, and Paus first says he came because of the goats, but then quickly corrects himself and says he came because his fiance's family is in danger. Huberek explains the situation, and Paus thinks their army is small. When Huberek talks about where the enemy is placed, Cass feels something is strange. Paus is impressed by his father's sharp sense and wonders why the enemy is staying in a defensive position even though they started the attack. Cass guesses the place the enemy really plans to strike, and Huberek becomes worried because that is where he sent Squall to guard in his first battle. They realize Squale is in danger and decide to rush to help him. Meanwhile, Squale gets a report that they have seen the enemy and that there are only 20 of them. He decides to attack and leads his soldiers forward, but they cannot find the enemy. Then a soldier tells him that the enemy is coming from behind and that there are more than 20. The enemy attacks from the back and breaks through their rear guards. Squale is shocked and tries to move his troops into the forest to hide, but they see enemies coming out from there too. Squale understands that he has fallen into a trap. Elsewhere, Glockage tells Cass that the main army is late. Cass tells Niccolo to handle the main force and rushes ahead with Pass and Glockage to help Squale. Soon Squale is fighting the enemy and tells his men to pull back, but they find they are surrounded. Suddenly arrows fly in and strike the enemy, and Cass arrives and starts fighting them. Pass jumps down from above and tells Squale they have come to help him in his first battle, and Squale feels relieved to be saved. Squale then shows his gratitude towards Pass and Cass for saving his life, and it is clear that all the enemies have been defeated. At the same time, Luderud is shocked when he hears that Morteln has joined Hubarek's side, and he expects that the Duke will send help again. He understands that his plan has failed and becomes very angry. On the other side, Hubarek feels relieved to see that Squale is safe, and says sorry for putting him in such danger. He thanks Cass and Pass for rescuing Squale and says that Luderud's army has pulled back for now. Hubarek announces that all the fighters will be rewarded and praises Squale for fighting bravely, even though Squale feels that he did not do much. Hubarek tells Squale to go rest, and when Squale walks away, he meets Petra. She is happy to see that he is safe, and offers to walk him to his room, but Squale says he wants to be alone, and Hubarek worries about him. Because his first battle was so hard, it seems to have left him shaken. But Cass believes that he needed this experience because one day he will lead the royal capital army. Petra is worried about Squale and wonders how to help him feel better. Cass then asks Pass how he helped Mark feel better after the bandit attack. Pass remembers that he made Mark a bonka pile. Cass suggests that Pass do something similar to help Squale feel better. Pass thinks of an idea and asks Cass to gather some ingredients. Cass knows Pass wants to make sweets again but agrees to help this time. Pass asks for bonka, and Cass wonders if he plans to make another bonka pie, but Pass has a different plan in mind. Later, Pass is seen making the dessert while thinking about Squale's feelings. He understands that Squale is hurting inside and blaming himself for what happened. Pass hopes that his sweet can make Squale smile. Meanwhile, Hubarek is holding a victory party and making a toast. During the celebration, Squale hears people saying that an outsider boy took the credit for the victory, and this makes him feel sad. Cass tries to comfort him, but Squale feels that what they said might be partly true. Hubarek comes to them and says that he also faced many troubles in his first battle. He tells Squale to be proud of what he did. Squale thanks him but still feels sorry for the soldiers who were hurt. At that moment, Pass comes to the party, congratulates Hubarek on the victory, and brings out a dish he made in the kitchen. When Niccolo opens the cover, a nice smell spreads through the room. Pass cuts a piece and asks Squale to taste it. He tells Squale that the sweet is called tart tatin and that it is made with bonka. Squale tastes it and thinks it is very good. He asks about the name, and Pass explains that it is named after the Tatin sisters, who were famous for making tarts, and that they once forgot to put the dough in while baking, which led to this sweet being created. He explains that this sweet was made because of a baking mistake, and that the sisters did not let their failure stop them. Pass tells Squale that whenever he fails while baking, he thinks about this sweet and tells himself to keep moving forward. Petra joins them and says that Squale is not a failure because he kept his promise to come back to her safely, and she believes he is the right person to lead his people because he cares about his soldiers more than celebrating a win. Squale starts to feel better and thanks Petra and Pass. He decides to learn from what happened and become stronger. Squale asks Petra to go with him to the garden to eat the sweets together and maybe grow closer, and they walk away feeling happier. Cass says that everyone has to face their first battle pain on their own, and Hubarek says he went through the same thing when he was young. Pass also says he faced something like this before, even though he is still young. Hubarek thanks Pass and says he will help him with any request. Pass already has something he wants Hubarek to help him with. After that, Pass returns home, and his friends are surprised by how many things he brought back. He gives Liko a letter from her father and tells Fauswaya that his father stayed behind to teach Lunvag a lesson for harming their trade. Pass explains that they planned to buy all the needed supplies, and his father handled the talks. Soon after, Cass comes back to pick Pass up and says the talks are done, but they need Pass's help to move the supplies. Later, Fauswaya and the others are shocked when they see many goats and horses, and Cass says they bought everything before Lunvag arrived, so now Lunvag will know what it feels like to lose to a small village. After this, Pass receives wine tools from Hubarek, which they will use as a juicer. Later, it is said that Hubarek wants Liko to go with Petra to the royal capital in summer. They have trouble finding a proper noble dress for Liko because there are no noble tailors in their land. They ask Pass to buy a dress in her size, since he is her fiancé, and Pass uses his magic to show Luco's image to the tailor to get the right size. 1 month later, Pass makes a cheesecake for Luco, and she writes a letter to her father saying she is happy living in Morteln village. At the same time, Hubarak feels lonely without her. After that, Pass goes to wake his sister, who wants to eat his cake in bed, but she is surprised to see Luco there and feels shy. Then Pass starts making another dessert, and Luco asks what he is making. In response, Pass simply whispers something to her and she grows surprised. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.